Ready?
Let's start.
Let's call this meeting to order. We'd please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, do you have any additions or deletions to this evening's agenda?
No, not tonight.
Do we have any corrections of the minutes of the special meeting from November 10th, 2015? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving those minutes from November 10th, 2015 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? So those minutes stand approved. And then our regular meeting, our last meeting of November 16th, 2015, are there any corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving those minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Those stand approved. We move on to reports. I have a few things really quickly. You can see we have some decorations out. We have a hat, scarf, and mitten tree right back here. And the AFSCME Clerical Union 1918 are taking donations for hats, scarves, and mittens to be donated to local schools in Flint Township. Toys for, oh, that's another one. So I wanted to mention that December 17th, AFSCME is going to be taking any donations of hats, scarves, and mittens over to the 3 school district administration offices, and they'll be distributed to the children in need. They're the ones who are going to decide before Christmas. So that's the first thing. Next is there's a couple boxes in the lobby. Toys for Tots and Food Bank of Eastern Michigan. Toys for Tots is with the Marines. If you have a new toy that's wrapped, if you want to donate, you can bring it here and we'll collect that for you. And then the Food Bank. We're doing 2 things with the Food Bank of Eastern Michigan. The first is we're collecting food. So if you have some to spare, we can collect for you and deliver that. Also, you'll notice you can buy a Christmas bulb, and that represents, it's for $1, represents, it buys 6 meals, and you can put your name on here. And we're, as a township, we're trying to get 100% with the township office employees, so you'll see them hanging in the hallway. So if you're interested, you can come to the town, if you're here. Rose, who works as the receptionist up here, can help you with that, and we'll hang your name on the glass in the lobby there. So a couple other things. I wanted to mention that with the gas prices as low as they are, the garbage assessment for on the 2015 tax roll is lower. It's now $114 as compared to, I pulled my tax bills for the last several years, and let's see, for mobile homes it's $57 a year, but let's see, in 2012 the assessment was $114, in 2013 it was $119, in 2014 it was $120, and we are back down to $114, which I calculated that. What does that equal? For 52 weeks, that equals $2.19 a week for your garbage to be picked up and hauled away. Your trash, your yard waste, and your recycling. I think that's a pretty good value for our money. Then I wanted to mention, if any of you are driving down Ballinger Road, you'll notice that Genesee County Road Commission, in conjunction with the Michigan Department of Transportation, began their Ballinger Highway Bridge repair over the Swartz Creek River in Flint. It began in August, and it's now open to traffic, and they want to say thank you for your patience. And what is this one? Oh, this is a FYI to all the trustees. You'll see we have on the agenda, we receive monies in 2 forms from Comcast. One is franchise fees that goes to the township, and one are PEG dollars that come to the township that get dispersed for programming and education and governmental programming. So we have on the agenda for Carmen Ainsworth and Swartz Creek, because they had already responded to the clerk's request for a report. We just received Flushing's report, so we'll be asking this board to approve PEG grant dollars to go to Flushing also for their media, I don't know what you call those, the arts media room. And then lastly, for your information, Deb Cherry sent this from the Genesee County Office of the Treasurer, dated November 30th. There's $1 million in funding to demolish blighted, tax foreclosed properties in the out county. There was a lot of money that went to the city of Flint, but this is for all those surrounding the city of Flint that are in Genesee County. So I know our building department is working with the land bank and with the treasurer's department to get as many properties in the township that are in need of being demolished, whether they're tax foreclosed and they're blighted. So if you notice anything or have any complaints, get that to Tracy. We're formulating that list as we speak. And I think that's my report this evening. Madam Clerk, do you have a report?
Not tonight. I do have one item on the agenda, so I'll wait for that.
Thank you. Madam Treasurer, do you have a report for us this evening?
Yes, last Monday, November 30th, 2015 winter tax bills went out, and they are due Monday, February 29th. This year, you get an extra day, so.
Is it leap year? Is this a leap year?
Yes, it is
Oh,
a
that's
leap
why.
year.
Okay,
The 29th,
yeah, true.
that would be a leap year. And a motion to pay the bills,
Is there a
please.
second to that motion?
Second.
Is there any questions or discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call, please, on the motion to pay the bills.
Mrs. Parker?
Yes.
Ms. Spinelli?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
Yes?
Ms. Corch, yes. Mr. Castle?
Yeah, yes.
Mr. Menudas?
Yes.
Mrs. Vert?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All righty, we'll pay those bills. Are there any trustee reports?
When is the contract, or do we have a contract with Comcast? Don't they pay us something every year?
They do.
Do
They
we
pay
have
us.
a contract with them or not?
We have an agreement, but I don't know it's a contract per se. They give us franchise fees and PEG dollars for that.
They give us franchise fee and what?
PEG dollars, P-E-G,
Oh.
PEG dollars.
It just seems to me on my bill that my fees keep going up every month.
Anything to do with that?
No?
It doesn't have anything to do with us. That's their programming at Comcast. We have nothing when we have
I'm
no
just wondering
say in
if they're
that.
raising me, why aren't we getting a raise?
Oh, you want us to get more dollars
Well,
from?
yes, of course.
Let's see what we can do about that, Beth.
Well, I'm just wondering. 'cause-
We can look into that.
Yeah.
We have an attorney who oversees that contract. We don't use him
Okay,
hardly at all, but we'll put him on the task. Sound good?
Okay.
fine.
Any other trustee reports? No? No? So, what was I gonna say? Do we have any reports from Chief Sippert?
This past Saturday afternoon, the Flint Islamic Center, the community center, which is located on Dyewood Drive, held an open house for the community, and Flint Township was represented by the township supervisor. I was there, and Captain Colbert was there from the fire department. And the members there at the center were gracious hosts. There were a lot of other members from the community there, from the neighborhood. Some of the neighbors came by, and they had some hors d'oeuvres set up, and they did a little presentation and spoke a little bit about their faith and what the community center was all about. And we felt very welcome there, and I thought that it was also very informative for all of us. And then secondly, we, the police department, are partnering with Monday Township and Swartz Creek Police Departments for a program that's really funded by Myers on Hill Road. And that Shop with a Hero was formerly Shop with a Cop. And that event takes place tomorrow evening. We have 5 officers that will be participating in that. And they select families from around our community, also through the school district. There'll be a whole list, and that will happen tomorrow evening. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Assistant Chief Berkeley, do you have a report for us this evening?
Yes, I do. I got several things here. On November 20th, Sergeant McClanahan responded to the 2400 block of Beverly and on the Pasadena Trailer Park for a CO alarm activation. Sergeant McClanahan checked the trailer with our air monitoring devices, and he found levels of 55 and higher in the trailer, which is very high for human occupancy. After some investigation, he found it was a faulty furnace. The residents were evacuated. And in October of this year, we, as the firefighters, went door to door and installed CO and free smoke detectors. And this was one of the homes that we installed one in. Sergeant McClanahan was very adamant that this definitely saved this resident's life. Because they had no idea if that the CO was in there unless the smoke detector, CO detector had activated. And that was, the CO detectors and smoke detector was a grant with the Community Black Foundation. And so I definitely see that as a, paid for all them smoke detectors. It didn't matter what the cost was, just that one residence.
When you talk about a CO detector, if residents buy one for themselves, do they ask at Home Depot or whatever for a CO detector or carbon monoxide or
It's the same thing, yeah.
But
Carbon
they can say
monoxide.
CO and that's
Yeah.
fine.
Yep, it's carbon monoxide detector. And these are a combination ones, carbon monoxide detector and smoke detector. So that's very pleased to talk about stuff like that. Another thing is the firefighters this past Saturday went down to Walmart down here on Corona Road. They were very successful this year. I just got the totals in late today. Last year we raised just shy of $10,000. We got $12,283 is what they raised.
Wow.
And that is including toys, clothing, and money. Money-wise, we exceeded last year. Last year we had just shy of $2,000. The patrons coming into Walmart, $3,300 in cash alone. So that really was phenomenal on that there. So the firefighters spent the whole day down there collecting for the Salvation Army Red Kettle Drive. That was what that was for. Also, on a different note, and I don't know if it got on the agenda or do we need to put it on the agenda, but I'd like to see if the board would be, request the board to solicit bids for fire gear. And with a deadline date of December 21st.
Do you want to do that now or do you want to add it to E?
Did you want to add it to the agenda or we? I missed
You just wanna do it
that
now?
part.
Sure.
We can take a motion to go out for bid for fire gear and bring that back. It'll be a sealed bid. We
It'll
talked
be a
about.
sealed bid, we have to put it out. We're looking at 18 sets of fire gear, and this would be also an option to purchase gear for potential, we got 3 recruits in training and potential 3 new hires and full-time. So there's this clause in the contract, or not the contract, but the bids would be to buy also in 2017 if we need to buy more gear at the same price.
So we can vote to go out for bid,
Okay.
but we would want to get those back. You talked about getting it on the next agenda.
Yes.
So that the place the order, you said it takes a couple months?
It takes about 3 months to get fire gear,
Okay.
and we are in badly need of gear. We
Okay.
need to get that process moving. And it is in the budget for, through the equipment millage.
Does someone want to make a motion to do that?
I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any questions, any discussion? Nope. So we're going to go out for bid on the fire gear. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Mr. Menudas?
Yes.
Mrs. Vert?
Yes.
Mrs. Parker?
Yes.
Ms. Benelli?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
Yes,
Ms. Corch, yes. Mr. Castle?
Yes.
Motion carries.
all set.
Thank you very much.
And is that it on your report?
That is all.
All righty, thank you very much. At this time, we wanted to take a moment and honor Ronna Gettle, who is our assessor and is retiring at this point in time. So if you would come forward, we would like to give you a proclamation. You can come down and hold that too. Thank you. Yeah.
She's only 25. How can she retire?
All righty, come on over to the right center. Right here. Okay, I'll stand over here, you stand in the center. And we're waiting for Kim.
Oh, you go right ahead. I'm gonna stand right here.
So I'll read this. Whereas Ronna Gatto has served the residents and businesses of the Charter Township of Flint with the utmost professionalism as an able, thoughtful, and dedicated employee during her 27 years of service as an assessor for the Charter Township of Flint. And whereas Ronna Gatto began her career as an assessor in 1979 after earning her Level 1 title, she continued her education and ultimately achieved her Level 3 title of Michigan Advanced Assessing Officer and Personal Property Examiner, And whereas Rhonda Gettle served as deputy treasurer for Sandra Wright from October 1st, 2001 through December 31st, 2004. Whereas Rhonda Gettle is known for her knowledge and history regarding the properties and businesses located within Flint Township, dependability and conscientiousness, and as the first employee to arrive at work every morning. Whereas Rhonda Gettle is a loving wife to her husband Jerry, and a devoted mother to her son Christopher, stepmother to Michelle and Pam, and step-grandmother, you are not a grandmother, to Ryan, Peyton, Brittany, and Nate. And whereas Rhonda Gettle is a loyal and faithful volunteer with the Swartz Creek Kiwanis Club and the United Methodist Church of Swartz Creek, and whereas the Charter Township of Flint wishes to publicly recognize the hard work and contributions of Rhonda Gettle during her years of dedication to the residents and businesses, now therefore the Board of Trustees of the Charter Township of Flint, on behalf of the staff and residents, does hereby issue this proclamation to honor Rhonda Gettle and recognizes her time and dedication with the Charter Township of Flint, signed this 7th day of December 2015.
Also, getting heavy. The egg. It is very heavy.
Oh my goodness, oh, that's beautiful.
It says, Charter Township of Flint presents to Rhonda Gettle for 27 years of service to Flint Township, 2015.
Oh, you don't want to say anything. So we can take some pictures with you, Pam, but it feels
Working hard.
Mark, can you come up too? Did you know we were going to do this? So, this is Mark McDermott, and he has worked in the township longer than I think anyone else. And we had a little luncheon for Rana last Thursday, and the cake said for Mark and Rana, but he didn't know it until he got here, and I don't even think he read the cake because he was very surprised that we recognized him. But we'd like to recognize you now and say thank you. So, whereas Mark McDermott has served the residents and businesses of the Charter Township of Flint with the utmost professionalism as an able, thoughtful, and dedicated contract employee during his 41 years of service as an appraiser for the Charter Township of Flint. And whereas Mark McDermott and his company, Landmark Appraisal, worked tirelessly to adhere to the standards and practices as set by the State of Michigan Tax Commission. And whereas Mark McDermott was a dedicated, conscientious, and fair representative of the Charter Township of Flint and a familiar face to all during decades of board review sessions. Whereas Mark McDermott served as a role model and mentor to those in the Flint Township Assessment Department. And whereas Mark McDermott collected delinquent personal property on behalf of the Treasurer's Department of Flint Township for many years. I bet that was fun. Whereas Mark McDermott is known for his devotion and loyalty to the staff of the Charter Township of Flint and the staff of Landmark Appraisal. And whereas Mark McDermott is a loving husband to his wife Diane, and a devoted father to Heather, Kevin, and Ryan, and grandfather to Mallory, Jacob, Nicole, and great-grandfather to Sophia and Andre. And whereas, did I say that right? You did. Whereas the Charter Township of Flint wishes to publicly recognize the hard work and contributions of Mark McDermott during his years of dedication to the residents, property owners, and businesses. Now therefore, the Board of Trustees of the Charter Township of Flint, on behalf of the staff and residents, does hereby issue this proclamation to honor Mark McDermott and recognizes his time and dedication with the Charter Township of Flint, signed the 7th day of December, 2015. Pictures. We're going to take a 10-minute break, and we have some cake and coffee right here. Rose is going to help us with that, and Kim got the cake. So if we want to take some pictures, family too, and then we can break till 7:30 for cake and coffee. Before we do, we have two proclamations, and so a motion will be in order to...
Move to approve. Support. Hard to come out.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you very much. Where do you want to hear it in a long time?
Get caught buzz driving, and you could do some hard time.
Craig, knock it off.
Sorry, Mom.
It could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. And that could set you back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Pretty much a good day for me would be people leaving their hands off of me. I'm always called names. Everywhere that I go, there's always someone calling me names, calling me gay. I've been choked, thrown up against a wall, punched. Nobody's ever tried to help me.
So I'd like to call the meeting back to order, and we will say goodnight to those who are leaving, and for those who stay, it will be public comment time. If you'd like to address the board, I'd ask that you'd come to the podium, state your name and address, and you'll be given 3 minutes to address the board.
My name is Gerald Roberts, 4487 Lindywood Drive, Swartz Creek, Michigan. At the last meeting, I was basically called a liar by one of our particular constituents up there. I was trying to bring about a fact with regard to fire station number 1 over here not being manned. I was in the particular statement as I got ambushed as I walked away from this particular podium, so I didn't have any more time to speak to defend myself. And under Robert's Rules of Order, it was completely out of order for one of the particular trustees, in other words, to say something to me after I walked away. It was out of order. The main point that I was trying to get is we as citizens had passed a millage for $3 million for police and fire protection. And we want station number 1 over here manned. I relayed something that happened with me and my wife in the car on May 22nd. So to get all the facts, I went over to 911 Consortium and I FOIA'd the information with regard to that. And if I can talk long enough, I can tell you what happened. At 1:30 in the afternoon, a 911 call came in over through Consortium with regard to a fire on Darby Street. It took them at 911 from 1:30 to 1:32 to get the call out, in other words, to our particular stations. I have talked to the fire chief at Swartz Creek that does Clayton Township, and I've also talked to the assistant chief here. At 1:38, our particular truck came in, and shortly thereafter, a pickup truck with one person came in. The Swartz Creek and also Flushing were on call that they had basically ending up from a fire at that point. 911 shows that they came in at 1:42. I was told that by the fire chief in Swartz Creek that particular truck came in and was the first one to put a hose on that particular hydrant. Now, I don't know that, but I've been told that usually the first truck responding goes in to try to see if there's anybody there with regard to saving people in the fire or the house or something like that. Shortly thereafter, the Flushing Road truck comes in, and also a Flushing Township truck comes in, and I think there was 2 Swartz Creek trucks that were at that particular fire. Now, I came in shortly thereafter, and I saw a truck sitting on Dye Road.
Your 3 minutes is up, Mr. Roberts.
I thought it was supposed to be fair and equal. In other words, when Kim ambushed me this last week. I didn't have a chance to, in other words, to express myself.
You had
And
3
if this
minutes,
is fair and treatment,
just like you had 3 minutes
Karen,
tonight.
if this is fair treatment, I should be able to talk, and I should explain to him with regard to why that particular fire station is not being manned. There's
Your time is
25
up,
people
Mr. Roberts.
that went for that particular job.
Your time is up. Anyone else who'd like to address the board, you can come to the
Thank you for the
podium.
fair and honest treatment, Karen. I really appreciate that. Why don't you bring this information out to the people that we've been demanding, in other words, for probably six meetings here?
Your time is up,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Roberts. Thank you. And the information is out. Assistant Chief Berkeley has given a report on that fire 2 or 3 times in the past. We can have him do it again if you request that, but the information is out. Would anyone else like to address the board?
Good evening. Paul Buckler, 6102 Ramblewood Court, Flint, Michigan, 48532. I know we've passed an ordinance as far as the solicitation and the panhandling. Chris from the old Newsboys had approached the chief of police, and from what I've heard from him, that it was a very short, curt conversation. I'm a little bit disappointed because at one time I thought there was going to be a variance allowed for those. My understanding that I've gotten from the old Newsboys, I've participated with that pretty much the last 5-6 years. They're going to lose about $20,000 to $25,000 from what they do in Flint Township. So we're looking at, $20 a child. That's 1,200 kids that are going to go without. I would really like to see maybe if this board would reconsider, maybe putting out a permit could be acquired, maybe a $25 fee or something, $50. That would eliminate a lot of the people that are hanging out with signs on a daily basis, but I'm really disappointed on what the Flint Township has done with that. I don't think there's been issues necessarily in the past with like the old Newsboys, the boot collection, and those type of things. So I would like maybe something to be done about that if possible. Because I know they're collecting this weekend on the 11th. And like I said, the last I knew, I can't attend a lot of board meetings. In the summertime, I work a lot. And but I knew last I heard there was going to be possibly a variance for those organizations. So thank you.
Is there anyone else who'd like to address the board?
Dave Huffman, 2483 Warner Road. I guess we've been up here all in the last year, probably about 7 or 8 meetings, different comments on why fire station number 1 is not open. I've heard a lot of demagoguery. I've heard a lot of excuse making, but the bottom line is in this township, we passed a 10-year, $30 million public safety increase. That should have immediately, when that went in, these administrative decisions should have been administrated to. They weren't. And we come here every meeting and we stare into your eyes and we ask why as tax-paying citizens out here, and all we get is the runaround, and we still haven't even appointed a full-time fire chief yet. And I think as a taxpayer and some of the citizens out here, it's highly insulting. It's lack of leadership. And I don't understand why it's all smirky and a lot of laughs up here when this is serious business about Flint Township and the constituents and us paying the bills to keep this open the way it should be to defend our business community in Western Hills. And I hold this administration accountable for it. And like I've said before, one of these days, something is really going to happen where a real tragedy happens out here. And then I don't think it's going to be such a, well, we'll think about it matter. This should have been taken care of when this tax was passed. There's no excuses for it. It's total lack of leadership.
Is there anyone else who'd like to address the board? Can we not have the clapping, please? Would anyone else like to address the board? So, Chief Berkeley, I know I'm putting you on the spot. Can you please give us a report on what's going on with hiring firefighters? Because We can't hire just anybody. We follow civil service. That was voted in. Would you please give us an update on what's going on? And please explain what's going on with Manning Station 1.
The process is been in the process of getting people hired. We just had a physical agility Saturday morning down at Oakland Community College with candidates down there. And the list was just established for a eligibility list that has to be now approved by the Civil Service Board at the next meeting. I'm not sure, I gotta look at my schedule, see if we got one this month yet, because it's gonna get into the holidays. It's usually at the end of the month. So hopefully we'll get the ball rolling the first of the year. I mean, it's a slow process. It takes a while to do.
So how many firefighters do we have currently?
Currently 9, full-time, and 18 on-call.
So we have 3 fire stations. Fire Station 1 is here across the parking lot. Fire Station 2 is on Flushing Road, and Fire
Correct.
Station 3 is on Bristol Road.
Correct.
Fire Station 2 is manned 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Fire Station 3 on Bristol Road is manned 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Fire Station 1 is open. You're there from
8 to 4:30,
8 to 4:30 every day, and
Monday through Friday.
there are some days when, because of the scheduling, we have an officer who works that overnight, but there are many nights that
Correct.
it's not.
This Thursday, there's a scheduling for a duty person at this station. It's basically about about three times a month is where it is.
So when there's a fire in this area,
Mm-hmm.
like other communities around us who do not have a full-time fire department, their on-call firefighters would go to the station, pick up the truck, and go to the
Correct.
scene, which is what happens here at this station. Even though we do have Fire Station 2 and 3 fully manned all the time in the township, an on-call firefighter comes here if
Not-
it's,
Not necessarily, but
Depends
yeah,
on the location of the
Depends on
fire.
the location of the fire, correct.
so it is open and available if we need it, depending
Yes,
on the
it is.
location of the fire.
And myself, I've even left my home to come here to pick up an engine if necessary. I communicate with the duty men and the officers on location of what's going on. If we get 2 calls at one time, that warrants the engine to be, I mean, they're not out of service. There's an engine down there right now. It's in service. It's just not staffed right now.
So the public safety millage passed, it's been, how long has it been? Since May? How long? I don't remember. Anyhow, so you can't hire, it passed in November, you can't hire in December. There's a process to hiring firefighters.
Yes.
You've done the oral test, you've done the written test, the agility test is coming up, and you should have a list of candidates to present to this board to hire starting in January, which will open the station up.
Hopefully we will, yep.
Which was the goal when we put that public safety millage out to vote, was to open and man this station. It just doesn't happen overnight.
Correct. It's a process. It takes time.
And in working with other communities, Genesee County has a mutual aid agreement. And we rely on mutual aid from other township or municipalities, and they do the same with us. Is
In
that
the,
correct?
in the western part of the county here, and we get called as needed, but Gaines Township, Swartz Creek, Flushing, and Montrose, almost the entire west side of the county here, have an agreement, and because they do not have the personnel. So they have to call on each other, and it's automatic. When there's a dispatch, they dispatch them all, they all respond to the fire. Because, and we're talking about structural fires, not a vehicle fire, because of the lack of personnel, and it's very hard to get on-call personnel. We have 3, I believe, really good candidates in Fire Academy as on-call. They're doing very well in Academy, and so
What's the total number of on-call firefighters that we have right now?
18. That'll put us up to 20,
21?
yeah, 21, yes, thank you.
Alrighty, thank you very much. So I just want to make sure we're done with public comment. If anyone else would like to address the board, please come to the podium, state your name and address, and you'll be given 3 minutes to speak.
Good evening. Harold Pauly, 1051 Cabot Drive. A lot of talk this last couple of weeks about ideology, and primarily in regards to ISIS. We also live in our country by ideology. But our ideology changes. if we look back at our civics books, when I went to school, our ideology is nothing like our civics books. In fact, I think it was the Attorney General said the other day that because of the way that we do our financial affairs relative to, for instance, crime, that we criminalize poverty. That's very true. Poor people, because we have increased our fees and the court appearances cost so much and the lawyers cost so much, they can't defend themselves. Or if they do, they will put themselves in a financial distress. And it's not only poor people, it's almost every one of us. And what we do is we criminalize things. We take trivial items, mistakes, not following the law or the rules, and we put a big price on it. We need to look at what we do, because I'll just put it this way. I got a ticket for stopping for a red light. Trivial, should never have happened. Don't understand yet why it didn't happen. But it's 2 years later, talked to my insurance company, I'm going to be punished for another 2 years. And this financial thing goes on, and I'll cover more next time.
Thank you, Mr. Pauly. Is there anyone else who'd like to address the board? No? Okay, so we'll move on to action items. Action item A, Madam Clerk.
Consider approval to disperse PEG monies to our three Carmen Ainsworth, Swartz Creek, and Flushing schools. I've left a couple samples with Swartz Creek and Flushing, their request letters, just so you could understand some of the guidelines on the PEG. And I'm respectfully requesting a $15,000 in PEG monies to be dispersed to the school districts as following. Carmen Ainsworth, $8,000. Swartz Creek, $4,000, Flushing, $4,000. And again, I will remind you why the $8,000 for Carmen Ainsworth is by population, Swartz Creek and Flushing and so on. So I've divided those two. So again, request for $15,000 in monies. I'm sorry. It's 16. Sorry, didn't add up. I'm reading it. 16,000 in PEG monies to be dispersed. Carmen Ainsworth, 8,000. Swartz Creek, 4,000. And Flushing, 4,000.
Is that your motion?
Yes.
Is there a second to that motion?
Support.
Is there any questions or discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call please on approving PEG dollars, Flushing, 4,000, Swartz Creek, 4,000, and Carmen Ainsworth, 8,000 for a total of $16,000
Yes, that
to
makes
be
sense.
dispersed in PEG dollars.
Ms. Miller?
Yes.
Ms. Courts, yes. Mr. Castle?
Yes.
Mr. Menudas?
Yes.
Mrs. Vert?
Yes.
Mrs. Parker?
Yes.
Ms. Spinelli?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Action item B, Madam Treasurer.
This is to consider accepting formal notice of retirement for Pamela Knowles. She's worked in the Treasurer's Department, clerical.
Is it almost 20 years?
22, I think.
Treasurer's.
Something, 22.
So,
21.
all those in favor of receiving her formal notice, did I say that right? Receiving her formal notice signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Thank you very much. Oh. Well, yeah, we need a motion. Go ahead.
So move.
A second?
Support.
Do we need to vote again? All those in favor? Signify by saying aye.
What are we approving?
We're just receiving her formal
Notice.
notice of resignation.
Notice
I mean,
of
we-
resignation.
We don't have to approve receiving her notice of resignation. We have her notice of resignation. If
We do.
If we want to, if we have to accept her resignation, we could do that, but
So
Seems to
sometimes we
me-
do with some of our employees, especially police and fire, and other times we don't, so I don't know why, but.
well, I don't
It's
even want to ask when we do it, when we don't, but it seems to me an exercise in,
But now that we have
that
it,
is,
let's do it.
a waste of time.
Just did.
No.
Moving on, action item C is to consider approval of the tentative agreement with ASME Local 1918 Clerical Union. So you have before you the tentative agreement, and a motion would be in order to approve it. That's for a 3-year commitment, a 3-year contract with ASME.
I have motion to approve the ASME Local 1918 tentative agreement.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on that?
What union?
Clerical.
Clerical.
Clerical? Okay.
Could I ask at this time when the other contracts will be presented to us for approval? Kind of getting late, we're in December already.
Right, well, we've met with,
Do we have something going on yet, or no?
not yet.
What?
Yeah, we have a motion. Kim made the motion, Marcia seconded it, and Frank's asking
Getting
a
into
quick
discussion, why don't
question.
we take care of this first?
Well, I'll just answer his question. We are meeting with, we've already met with all of them. We're meeting with POAM for, and COAM, and, no, I'm sorry, COAM, FOAM, and IAFF, the 2 firefighter unions and the command
Thursday.
union on Thursday, and hopefully we can wrap this up by the end of the year,
By the end of the week.
end of the week. Down this way, you had a,
Yeah, I just have, my concern is the timing for the raises. Other than that, I don't have a problem with the contract. It's basically the raises and the timing.
anyone else? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call please on approving the tentative agreement with ASME Local 1918 Clerical Union.
Ms. Courts, yes. Mr. Castle?
Yes.
Mr. Menudas?
Yes.
Mrs. Vert?
No.
Mrs. Parker?
No,
Ms. Miller?
Yes. Are you going to vote?
Ms. Benelli?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Action item D. Tracy's not here, so I'll do that. It's to consider a change to the fee schedule for winter rates for grave openings. A motion would be in order to move forward.
I would motion to approve the, I'm sorry, it's,
The winter rates.
the winter rates. I'm moving to it here. Oh, shoot. Sorry about that. Changed to $100 for the winter months because they have to have additional. Therefore, we found it necessary to increase our grave opening cost of $100 from December 15th to March 15th, as they have to do some additional things for ground thawing. So we have to have that as it is in our ordinance.
Is there a motion?
Did you make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? No?
How many burials do we have over in a year?
1, 2, not that many. No.
They're both pretty full. Have you been over there?
Yeah.
They're both pretty full.
Just for information, if you go to Sunset, it's $1,000.
This one's
Just to open a grave.
$625 on weekdays and $675 on Saturdays.
Yep.
But a lot of people have already bought their plots in those cemeteries. The Croc
No,
Cemetery.
it's not the plot, it's digging a hole. It's $1,000.
Oh, just to dig over there, it's 1,000?
But I
I
don't
know.
think there's much left. That's what I was trying to say.
Oh.
Bristol, let's see, Bristol Road Cemetery, and then there's the Cronk Cemetery. Those are our 2 cemeteries that belong to the township. There's one on Linden Road, but that belongs to the city,
Yep.
just north of.
And this is just from December 15th to March 15th, their increase.
So, we have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, roll call, please, on increasing the rates for the winter rates for grave openings, please.
Mr. Castle?
Yes.
Mr. Menudas?
Yes.
Mrs. Vert?
Yes.
Mrs. Parker?
yes.
Ms. Benelli?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
Yes.
Ms. Courts, yes. Motion carries.
We have no further business, and without objection,
And we firing her, haven't we?
what? We already did that.
Fireman?
We did
We
that.
did that
we
in the
did?
beginning, and I put it as action item E, Kathy. We did it as a beginning,
Okay.
okay?
I do want to comment that attached to the packet, apparently, we've been able to, we're winning some of our lawsuits and settling others at reasonable prices, so that is good. These were suits against the police department and, I think the fire department in one case, right?
Right, that was settled.
And, it's good that we're winning for a change.
Can I say something?
Yes, go ahead.
Is there any way we can talk to, has anybody talked to the attorney about the newsboys situation?
Peter Goodstein met with Chief Sippert, Chief Sippert invited Chris Hamilton to come over. Chris Hamilton was a part of that committee. So they have talked, and our attorney was there, Peter Goodstein was there. And I know Chris has talked with the road commission too.
What they accomplished, they met, but what happened?
They were told no.
Pardon?
They were told no.
They voted no?
No, they were
They were
told
told
no.
they cannot.
Oh, they
go in-
cannot do
They
it?
cannot, absolutely cannot.
And MDOT piped in too. They said, especially on MDOT roads, there won't be any of that going on. That was Linda Burchell, and she's not there anymore at the TSC in Davison.
Well, the only thing is, that's a good deed they do, and they've done it for a long time. I know we all thought about it when the ordinance was adopted, but maybe is there somewhere we can wiggle something without breaking the law? Or
I know there was, did you want to talk about that real quick?
Well, I can. We invited Chris Hamilton because our goal is to make sure that everything stays safe and the ordinance is enforced as the way it was passed. And so we spoke to Mr. Hamilton. I thought we had a good conversation, and we expressed our concerns, public safety, and he expressed his point of view, saying that the Newsboys has been doing this for 90 years and they haven't had anybody get injured. And but it's a different time than what it was 90 years ago. And I tried to make that point with all the distracted drivers out there now, with cell phones and music, satellite radio, and you name it. For somebody to be standing out in the road, it's dangerous for police officers to stand out in the road with yellow vests on and lights flashing, and it's even more so for the newsboys. And I understand that it is a big part of their fundraising, and we're sensitive to that. We offered up our assistance where possible, and he really didn't accept that. And so we said that we would be enforcing our ordinance as it was written, and I opened up a line of communication where he could contact me at any time that day, and I could hopefully contact him, so if there were any problems, we could work them out. So I'm confident that things will work out fine. They've set up contingency plans on how to collect fundraising in Flint Township, which will be a little bit different than what they're doing in other communities. But I hope that they still are able to collect what their goal is, and that it's productive.
So I know it's going to be this Friday, December 11th, from sunup to 11 a.m., you said?
He said they're active from dawn till dusk, but I don't think they're usually out that late.
So, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I just wondered if there was some way we could give them a day, identify that day for the newsboys, and if the peddlers have to pay the fee like the newsboys will for that day only, I wouldn't mind giving the newsboys some help and let the peddlers be there wherever for that one day only. That permit is for one day, but that has to be a legal thing. It's up
Our
to the
legal
lawyer.
counsel has advised against that from day one. There's some constitutional issues involved in that. He can better explain that. But throughout the whole meetings that we had, he always advised against that.
Okay.
You can just come out on Friday and help.
Are we all set then?
But not on the street.
Without objection then, and with no further business, we'll call this meeting adjourned.
got no pulse, so losing.
Sergeant, he's in VFib.
Shocking. Drives it road all the time. Just had a few drinks. This can't be happening.
Are we clear?
Clear. We're just buzzed. Just buzzed. You didn't tell us that, sir. You're right. This isn't happening. He'll be fine. I feel good. Really? No, not really.
Buzz driving.
Clear.
Maybe we should stop acting like it's no big deal.
VFib.
Shocking.